Troops, here we are. We're live. I've lied to you. I said I wasn't going to do another podcast in 2019. However, when opportunity knocks, I take with both hands. And I'm very, very lucky, and he's very lucky, to be on the Eagle podcast in the weird crimbo limbo moment between Christmas and New Year. I'm joined by a very special guest, a man who eventually they'll make an own movie about him. It'll be called It All Moves, starring Connor from Atlas Mountaineering. Connor, mate, how are you doing?
I'm good, John. How's it going?
I'm very well. Connor, you've had, let's just go straight into it. It's Christmas and all that, but that's boring. Trees under the presents and all that, roses, toffee coins. Let's talk about accountability in big mountains. Let's dive straight into it.
Right, okay, aye. So, so I work as a mountain guide, basically, and I love being out in the mountains. And in my spare time, I like to go to the mountains as well. So I've just come back from a month-long trip in the Himalayas in Nepal.
Wow.
And I was there for 30 days there was 5 of us in total.
Yeah.
We had a couple of objectives up our sleeve. We were trying to climb an unclimbed face in the back of Beyond. And then we just had a couple of other things that we sort of thought about trying.
When you say an unclimbed face, for those people who don't know, who aren't in the know and in the loop,
yeah, okay,
you've seen something, either local knowledge or on a map or something that you've heard where you know no one else has been up it. So that, therefore, what's the process in sort of doing it and completing that objective?
That's a really good question. So basically, in the Himalayas, in a way, it's a little bit easier. There's a Himalayan database. Nepal has the Nepali Tourism Association has a list of unclimbed peaks. After they've been climbed, you'll be able to find documentation about them, like from alpine journals and things.
Oh, wow.
So just as a bit of a process of elimination, it's seen that this peak had been climbed, but it's only been climbed by this one route. So this face that we wanted to do was going to be unclimbed.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of good doing stuff that way. There's a bit of information out there about the mountains, so there is something to go off, like you might be able to use this person's route as a descent or something like that. You sort of know where your base camp might be, because we're basically from the road, it took us 7 days to walk to the bottom of this thing.
Wow.
Maybe a bit more actually by the time we got to the sort of high camp.
How much sort of kit? Obviously you're carrying hiking kit, food, water, and climbing kit as well, so that's tasty, isn't it?
Yeah. So for like 6 days of that, we had porters.
Oh, okay.
And porters carry about 30 kilos, so we're still carrying around about 10-15 kilos.
Wow.
And that takes it all to a base camp, and the base camp is still a day's walk away from an advanced base camp, and then another day's walk again to a high camp.
Wow.
And we had to sort of portage loads ourselves there. So we're talking at like 5,700 meters with a pretty meaty backpack on.
Wow.
Like it'd be 30 kilos, I would have thought. And ferrying that load. And
the porters, obviously, the legendary of the porters, that these people make them out to be like these absolute machines. Do you know what I mean? Like
they are. The only difference from the legends that you've heard is they're actually only 14 years old and they're drinking like moonshine.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're absolutely hilarious.
And what's their sort of, obviously they live locally and that's what they do, isn't it? Like that is their bread and butter. That's what a lot of them do to sustain their village, their families, their livelihoods.
It's really interesting. So where we were is less touristic than some other places. So I think portering for tourists is a profession in other valleys, but it's a bit rarer in the valley that we were in.
Right.
So these guys still work as porters, but normally they might carry like gas cans or big bales of hay, anything, because they've got to get stuff from the road end.
Yeah.
Villages, so they have a really hard life, and they're super happy and really nice people, and we're staying in like homestays a lot of the time, so it might be somebody in the village that has a big house.
Yeah.
On the floor, or some of them, like we stayed in a couple of tea houses as well, which are like
awesome
like a bunk house, which are really nice. So you get like your own room, but then they're set up for trekkers coming through, and you have your dinner there. And
amazing. What?
you're about to ask me what I'm going to eat, what you eat every night.
Well, no, because you're going to sort of say some sort of jam and bread or some sort of tagine spin-off.
So I had dalvat every day.
Is that their take on the
tagine? Yeah. So what it is white rice and a vegetable curry and like a lentil gravy.
Right.
And then you get it all in a big metal tray, and then you mix it all together.
So obviously carrying all this equipment, hiking at altitude, it all takes a toll on the body. And the calories game becomes a serious issue, doesn't it, for keeping your energy high? What do you do as a professional mountain guide and not just a guy who walks up Catbells every Saturday with his wife? What do you do for that nutrition in an environment like that?
It's so difficult, because you only have X amount of luggage allowance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you try and keep that. You know, you don't want to pay through the nose at £10 a kilo when Ryanair picks you up. So, like, we flew some dehydrated ration packs out with us, and they're 1,000 calories a meal.
Wow.
And we had enough for 10 nights of food for 5 of us. The theory being that we'd have one of those meals a piece when we're out in the mountains to keep the weight low. Outside that, we went shopping in a Kathmandu supermarket. We're buying all sorts of things like porridge.
Nice.
We had loads of lentils, so we're cooking our own lentils in the evening. And you mix in the lentils with things like soup packets, custard. It's a pretty grotty diet, actually. And about halfway through the trip, we had a guy that was on the trip lives in France, and he bought out a saucisson, like a salami, basically.
Oh wow!
Fried it, and it was like the best thing I've eaten ever, because it just fat. All my body was fat,
Fat.
You just got to smash as much as you can,
Yeah, it's such an important part of it, isn't it? Especially in that sort of world of altitude and constantly on the move. And I think every day sort of chips away at you, doesn't it? Like maybe you're not sleeping so well, or maybe the altitude will get to you, or the environment's not maybe what you're used to. Obviously being cold eats away at your body's energy, but it's an amazing thing. I always think about that side of it when I see sort of people like you doing the big mountains. I think you've got to be fit, but I think you've got to get your intake right, haven't you? And what you're saying is you've got to buy in Kathmandu, and you've got to be prepared to think, I'm not down Asda here. I'm at the Kathmandu supermarket, and I'm just going to have to get what I can get and get the calories in.
Yeah, and it wears you down, because one of the guys that was on the trip really suffered. Had an eye infection, had a chest infection, and then he had a tooth infection. This is what
three strikes.
And then he did actually. And then he went down to the village. Went down to the nearest village, and you're sleeping rough every night. Basically, in a tent. It's cold. Altitude. It's like 4,700 meters, 5,000 meters every night as a minimum. Yeah, you're just getting tired. You're getting skinnier, and you're running out of energy.
What sort of temperatures were you down to at night?
-20.
Oh wow, that'll get you.
Aye, that'll do it. Like
that'll get you. That'll get you shaking. And as well, it's this balance, isn't it? Some people are obsessed with it. There's a saying, isn't it? Carry light, freeze at night. What's your take? What sort of?
I like to. I'm big on the pack light front, actually. But there's ways around it, So like I bought a really nice sleeping bag about 3 or 4 years ago for another trip, and it's basically made to measure for my height.
Oh wow! So
there's no wastage on it, Like there's no, and it packs down to like a kilo. It weighs less than my summer sleeping bag.
Wow!
It's and it's about that, about as big as your head.
And what does that? And I'm always dubious with these comfortable ratings on sleeping bags. Comfortable -30. I'm not sure about that.
So this company is called PhD Designs. So
right,
go and have a look at them.
Yeah, will do.
And they I'm sure they do give temperature ratings, but they give like a perfect for climbing in the Himalayas up to X altitude, perfect for doing this somewhere else. So I basically like picked the one out of the range. I was like, cool, yeah, perfect for climbing in the Himalayas, 6,000 meters. That's exactly where I'm going to go. And then if I figured I was going to be cold, I just put a jacket on.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say to you. Obviously, a lot of people they get into sleeping bags and they get in them fully dressed. And actually, back in the military days, we were always taught that sort of strip down and allow the body heat to escape, but it fills the sleeping bag and you pull everything tight and you're sort of in a cocoon. But I know people getting in sleeping bags, wet trousers on, wet coats. A sleeping bag is sacrilege, especially on hard days. It's like it's something that you look forward to, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. So it's a little bit different in the UK. So you'd know it's hard routine, right? So when I go camping in the UK, I'll never get into a sleeping bag with wet or snowy gear.
No.
But it's so dry in the Himalaya.
Right. Okay.
I was fully clothed every night in my sleeping bag. The only difference, like obviously not got my boots on in there,
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So you've got the porters, you've trekked in as far as they can.
Yep.
You come to your face. Do you, as sort of a mountaineer, do you sort of look at it for the first time, and are you looking for the weakness, or are you looking and scanning, thinking, which is my way up here? And are you already pre-reckoning a sort of portal-edge stop in your mind, or?
So we've got, by the time it's got to us getting to Nepal, we've already seen photos of our objective, right?
Yeah.
So the next step from seeing the photo and then standing underneath it is like, how much does that photo match up with what I'm seeing? Because, that might have been 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Conditions might be completely different. So
yeah.
And these places are always changing. While we were there, stood right underneath it, there's a huge serac fall from the top of the face.
Wow.
And it, and then a huge snow cloud covered us all. And we're like 2 or 3, let's say 2 kilometers away from the bottom of this face. And it's like a huge, and then all the dust settles, the snow settles, and you're like, right, okay. So actually the objective that we were there originally to climb, when we got there, it just wasn't going to be safe. Right. So, it's between serac fall and snow conditions, just wasn't going to happen. So you got to come up with sort of other solutions. Yeah. So we had another route up our sleeves for this particular mountain, and the snow was just too deep.
Wow.
So and it was going to be too dangerous as well. So we spent a night out at 6,200 meters in tents. So we had a couple of tents with us.
So it's 6'2". You are technically dying, aren't you? Because you're 200 meters over what they say. Don't they say over 6,000 meters, your body's like saying, we're on the way down. I've read something about 6,000 meters being this golden, like you're dying over 6,000 meters.
6,000 meters is a pretty cool place to be, actually. Yeah. Felt pretty good to get there.
Get your head down, yeah.
At like 8,000 meters, your body's basically eating itself.
Right.
6,000 meters. I didn't feel too bad, to be honest. And that's going to sound really weird, isn't it? We spent a lot of time ferrying loads, acclimatizing, and working really hard to get there.
Mm.
We're climbing as a 3 up some really wild ground with like huge seracs, bigger than buildings, and holes like a crevasse. I'd look down into this crevasse and be like, I can see Australia down there.
Yeah.
Like, I'd just never seen anything like it. It was the scale of the place was uncomprehendable.
And sort of going back to what you said about photos and real life not doing things justice, and you'll see it on Instagram, and I do. Like, I see people take photos of like sharp edge example, and I think you could look at that photo and think, I'm going to go crack that Saturday, and then turn up on Saturday and think, I think I've got the wrong spot because that looks quite serious.
So this route that we were going to take onto this ridge, so you imagine a peak like this, and down here there's a col at 6,000 meters, right? We thought when we got to that col, basically we were just going to be able to walk across, find a nice spot to camp. And when we got up there, it's like 60-degree snow. And 3 of us are climbing across, sort of tied together, trying not to fall in any big holes.
Wow.
And with very minimal amounts of gear in between each other. And
Jesus.
eventually where we managed to stop for the night was, yeah, it was just like a mental spot, a huge crevasse right behind us. And behind the crevasse was this serac, but we were sheltered from the wind. And what we did to figure out if it was safe, we got this guy that we were climbing with. So there's Will and Simon and myself.
Yeah.
Simon is a big 6'5" unit, weighs like 100
Right.
kilos. So I sat on the other side of this wind lip with the snow, sat down in the snow, and belayed Simon while he jumped around in a square.
Wow.
He was going to fall through.
Wow.
Going
So
fishing.
basically, fair enough. But that's what you had to do to make sure it was safe to sleep on. I mean, that's what you have to do, isn't it? And obviously, if he had gone through, he's tied on, isn't he? So
Yeah.
it's just a good bit of forward, bit of safe, a bit of safe danger. Is that the right word? I don't know.
You don't really want to catch Simon, like he's a big guy.
Yeah. lock him off.
Will was sat behind me, cuddling me, just like two of us will add up. It's all mad.
It's truly a great adventure, though, isn't it? You know, it is truly the great outdoors, and at its most lethal and most stunning, obviously at the same time.
That's what I really like, actually. Is these big trips that we go on and we have a good adventure.
Yeah.
It's not just the like climbing that I really enjoy anymore. It's not just walking or camping or going traveling to different places. It's when it all comes together.
Yeah.
You know, like, and yeah, you just have a wicked time in the middle of nowhere with your mates.
Yeah.
There's something really cool about sat around a base camp, just catching a crack and drinking tea. You know.
On the sort of obviously on the navigation side, what's the mapping like out there? I mean, I remember from Morocco, you had like a very old school sort of Russian map. Has it been maps out there, or is it reliable, or?
Yeah, so there's mapping, and it's okay. The best. So there's two maps that we had. One was a more modern map, but the scale was it's like 1 to 150,000.
All right.
So the amount of detail that you can get was very minimal.
Yeah.
And, you know, you look at what we were going to cover in a day, it was maybe like 3-4 centimeters. So okay for a scale of the whole area, but not very good for what you and I would call nav, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's another map, I think a German map from 92.
Right.
Which doesn't sound that long ago, but since 92, the glaciers receded about 6 or 7 kilometers.
Oh, wow.
So the world's a different place on this map than what it is when we saw it, you know.
That's the thing, isn't it? With maps, it's fact. I always say fact and fiction because it's how old is the map and as it changed, and obviously, you know, massively has changed since 92, and probably barring, you know, probably high peaks.
Yeah.
You know, things are going to change quite a bit.
Contours don't lie, though. That's a cool thing, isn't it? So,
they don't. No, they don't.
So you know, like, so we still had a map and compass with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then do a lot of during the acclimatization process. You do a lot of recceing, so you're taking a lot of photos, and you can sort of work out where you are from them. Had a GPS unit with me.
Yeah. I think that's just good safe practice, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had a GPS watch with me as well. And those things, I don't know. So I'm using the GPS watch mainly as an altimeter.
Yeah.
Gives you a really good idea of where you are and where you're supposed to be. And then when you come back at the end of this trip, you can see what it's been, you know, where you've been to and how your day's been. And it gives you a good idea, keep track of acclimatization.
Yeah,
so good practice would be like 500-600 meters of acclimatization gain a day.
Yeah.
And that can be stretched, you know. But more than that, you really like pushing the boat out in terms of safety. So you might only have one day where you could do more than 700 meters of acclimatization, and then you're going to have to be real cautious the next couple of days. So we had a big up to 6,200 meters, and I was sick that night, you know, because we really stretched it out, you know.
And it's very hard to keep on top of routine, isn't it? As in, you've got to things we take for granted, like, oh, I'll just have a drink out of my Camelback, or I'll just get a Mars bar. All these things, just, it's so much harder, isn't it, to keep on top of your own personal admin, especially.
So we were bivvied out, right? Like, listen to this.
Yeah.
And it like, whoa, it must have been 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I was absolutely gasping for a drink, and I mean, absolutely gasping. And we've got a water bottle in between Will and I in this tiny little tent. I need a drink. Where's the water bottle? It's here, and I'm trying to get it open. The top's frozen, like really fucking frozen.
Yeah.
And I just can't get it. And Will's like, obviously I've woken Will up by now. And you try not to move because the inside of the tent's covered in ice, and if you move, it snows inside the tent.
Oh.
So I opened the tent door and got Will's boot, and I was smashing this water bottle off the boot. And Will's just like getting snowed on inside the tent. He's like, "What are you doing?" You know, so like, and this went on. You know, I was trying to get a drink of water for like half an hour, and all I wanted was just like a sip of water. Eventually, I managed to crack it out. And, you know, but just what you were saying, you know, the simple things take a lot of time,
and they take a lot of energy, and it's almost like, is it going to be worth doing it? But you have to, and it's one thing I sort of, when I'm with people, I'm always like, you must keep on top of yourself. Do you know what I mean? The moment it's an issue, it's almost over for you. You know, and dehydration is right up there, isn't it, with game over mode?
You've got to be bothered to look after yourself, right? You know.
Yeah, you've got to be bothered.
Like a pair of gloves or a jacket, or you know.
I know, gloves. If you lose a glove out there, you lose fingers. That's the way I think about it, isn't it?
Well, we're all guilty of it, you know. Like the three of us are breaking trail up this hill, and I'm like, I've got cold hands. I'm like, whoa, the other guys probably have cold hands. Should we stop and swap gloves over? Nah. And then eventually we stopped. So we're like, our hands are really cold. They might put an extra layer on. And the boys are like, yeah, really cool. We're all really, but not. We're all just like idiots, you know?
Yeah, we go into that sort of like, I'll just grizz it mode. I'll just push through mode. But you might get away with that when you're boshing around the Lake District, but you won't get away with it where you are. And it's important to keep on top of nutrition and hydration and definitely sort of layers. Otherwise, you come back with a few less digits than you went out with, don't you? I suppose is the way to look at it. So obviously, the trip didn't sort of go to plan.
No.
It all moves is a saying I say a lot, but it's true. Talk us through the moment you realised that you were in for a bit of a tasty old couple of hours.
So basically, after trying this peak from the 6,200 meter call, realised the snow was really bad. We decamped from high camp, back to the advanced base camp, back to the base camp, ferried all our gear back over a couple of days. And after all that was done, we had a couple of days left in the base camp.
Right.
You know, like maybe 3 possible climbing days left. From there, we were like, well, we can go back to the village early and eat loads of chips, or which you've eaten lentils for the last 20 days. Chips are sounding real good.
Yeah, chips is give us a bearing, innit? I'm on bearing for the chips.
Yeah, there's yaks around the base camp. And you're like, I wonder how many walking poles it'd take to kill a yak. I'd do some yak burgers right now. There's the guys that lent us this map, whether these Italian guys, and they'd highlighted this peak that they'd tried in '97 that's unclimbed.
Right.
And Will and I and Simon decided to go give it a go. Right above the base camp, wouldn't need to ferry any loads. We're just going to be able to go give it a go, basically. Not really had too much of a look at it. Had a look at it from a couple of different angles when we're ferrying loads, but never really paid it much attention. The route that we're going to do comprises of 2 unclimbed peaks with a technical ridge up to the first one, and then in between the 2. In between the 2, somewhere in here, there was a call.
Yeah.
And the aim was we're going to go fast, we're going to go light, really well acclimatized by now, because we've been above the altitude of the highest of the 2 peaks.
Yeah.
Not going to take bivy gear, just going to go for it.
Yeah.
Set off at 2 o'clock in the morning. Had some breakfast and that. Off we went up the hill. As we got to the sort of start of the rock, Simon had a really bad cough. So he went down. So it's just Will and I. We're climbing as a pair, sort of split the gear in between us. We started off, and the ridge, it was all loose. It's loose rock. Climbed a lot of loose rock before. And we set off, and we started off soloing, felt fairly comfortable. And then started getting a bit more hard, and maybe a bit more consequential, just thinking about likelihood versus consequence all the time, So we roped up and we did something, what I'd call moving together, where you both have a fixed length of rope and you move at the same time and you place bits of gear. And what that's doing is it's just keeping you attached, really.
Yeah.
If one of you fell, you'd both have a major accident.
Yeah. Mutual destruction.
Mutual destruction. but nobody, the idea is nobody's going to die and you're still attached to the mountain.
Yeah.
After that, it's probably around about 10 o'clock now, having been on a go since 2 o'clock in the morning. Sun's come up, had a cup of tea, we've stopped, brewed up. We have climbed the first of the 2 unclimbed peaks.
Yeah.
And we did an abseil down. And then after this abseil, we decided that the ground looked tricky enough that we were going to do something called pitching.
Right.
Pitching is where one person is fixed to a belay.
Yeah.
And then somebody leads in front.
Yeah.
And they place bits of gear, like bits of protection that they put into the rock that the person behind will take out. The idea being that if the person in front falls, a bit of gear, and this is the person that's leading, they can only fall that far.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And we're climbing along this ridge. Yeah. So we're going up and down. Even the person that's leading, it's really complex ground. It's still really loose. I climbed down, and as we're looking along the ridge to the next peak, I went left underneath some overhangs, and I climbed up and through these overhangs. Now I was basically pulling bits of rock off the size of like a small microwave, basically. Just don't need that anymore. That's no good. And I came out onto the crest of the ridge.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I could belay here, and there was a rock pinnacle in front of me.
Yeah.
I thought, right, I could belay here. I'll bring Will up to me. And then I was like, but Will's going to have to go up and over this rock pinnacle for us to get any further along towards this column to the next peak. So I was like, right, I'll just go and I'll be able to belay from the top of this rock pinnacle. I was like, or maybe even down from the other side, I might be able to sling the whole pinnacle, like put a big bit of rope around.
Yeah.
So up I go, and this pinnacle is maybe about, so there's a crest of the ridge, and the pinnacle of rock is maybe about 7 meters.
Right. Oh,
crest. So it's a fairly chunky piece of rock.
Yeah.
So think like 3 times the height of a door.
Yeah, it's a beast.
And it's really high. Like I'm really high. I'm still working hard. It's like 5,800 meters. I've got 1 foot below the top of the pinnacle, both hands on the top.
Yeah.
And I went to put my knee, and I put my left knee on the top of the pinnacle. As I went to bring my right knee up, the whole thing just fucking fell off. The whole pinnacle. So the whole thing just went. From there, I went. So I've climbed up from the left.
Yeah.
And I went to the right with the whole pinnacle underneath me, and I went head first with all this rock knocking me about. I thought that was it. Right.
Yeah.
Christmas was cancelled.
Index.
And then the rope caught me, and I was like, "Wow, okay, cool, still here, still in the game." My first thought was like, got to get back up there and belay, basically.
Yeah.
I turned around and I tried to put my foot down. So I tried to put my toe on an edge, my foot wasn't there. And I was like,
wow.
And I looked down, and my left foot was facing around about, just less than 90 degrees.
Wow.
Anti-clockwise, so it's pointing the wrong way.
And were you in any pain, or was the whole shock of it just in mode then?
I couldn't breathe.
Wow.
So it's, and I guess if you broke your leg like that at sea level, you'd be hyperventilating. But not only am I hyperventilating it, I'm also at, like nearly 6,000 meters.
There's not much air, is there?
No. And I'd already been trying really hard. So like, I'm just going like, and I knew it was sore, and I was looking at it. I was like, that's going to be really sore really soon.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I didn't really think much about it. I knew that if my leg wasn't going to face the right way, the chance of getting out of there, not good.
Serious, yeah.
Best case scenario, I might lose a limb. If there's no blood flow to the bottom of the limb,
and
you'll lose toes or you lose a limb.
You're doing triage, obviously, in a really bad situation, aren't you? Like, you're now in triage mode where you sort of first aid and your mountaineering training have kicked in, and you've gone, well, I'm still alive. However, I'm still in a dangerous position, and my leg's not pointing the way it should. So I'm going to have to do something here now, which is going to be a little bit sort of tasty.
Yeah. Well, I just wasn't even thinking about that. I just knew where I was.
Yeah.
The only way that Will and I are getting out of there from now is Will and I.
Yeah.
We might get help at some point, but it's not going to be in an hour.
Yeah.
And I knew that in the back of my head. So I relocated my leg by smashing it against the rock next to me.
I don't think they teach that in the first aid course, do they?
No, they don't.
Smash leg against the rock.
And I can't remember how many times I hit it. It must have been once, at least once or twice.
Jesus.
And then I checked for blood.
Yeah, for blood flow.
No, not for blood flow. For blood.
Just for right. Okay.
Because I was worried that it might be an open fracture. So an open fracture is where the bone is poking out of the leg or out of the limb, right? And that, it'd have been real bad.
Yeah,
I'd have probably bled out and died. Maybe, and then maybe obviously not, but
the consequences of that is not only do you maybe die, but your mucker, he's then left in a situation where now he has to try and descend something like that on his own.
Yeah.
Then,
bearing in mind that Will is 40 meters away from me on the other side of the ridge and still doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, he's lost. Yeah.
So all he knows is that the rope has gone really tight.
Yeah.
And that if he lets out rope, it's still tight. So he knows that my weight is completely on the rope and I'm not taking in. So he's held a fall. He knows that.
Yeah.
And he's waiting for something to happen that means that situation is going to change. So after I relocated my leg, I knew that I had to build a belay. And I was trying really hard not to pass out.
Yeah.
And my eyes were going all over the place and I couldn't focus on anything. And where I was, there was this like big flake of rock that I was convinced I could put a sling behind, like a climbing sling.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. Like I was trying to thread it for a couple of minutes and I was like, this isn't going to work. I'm going to have to think of something else here. So it's just so all over the place. But eventually built a belay and managed to belay Will up to the. And then I got my weight onto this belay. So all of a sudden, there's no weight on Will's rope. Will feels that the weight's come off, and he knows that he's going to be able to start climbing.
Wow.
He got up to the top of the ridge, and I told him exactly what I'd done. I was like, I fell, got hit by loads of rock. I'm not concussed. Left leg, above boot fracture. It's not open. I don't think I've broken anything else. No signs of internal bleeding.
Wow.
That I can see. And he was like, right, okay, cool. Let me just build a belay. And then from there on, there's so I sort of managed to climb up to him.
Yeah.
While Will's hauling me, and we sort of splintered my leg. We had to splint,
Yeah. What did you use? Would you have any sort of trekking poles? Did you use a trekking pole or?
I did have a pole in my rucksack, but we didn't use a pole.
All right.
I will duct taped my toes together. Yeah, and that worked really well.
Mint.
And then I wrapped loads of spare climbing cord and slings around my legs in a crisscross, like that. And then I took another bit of cord and I looped it over my toe of my broken foot, on my broken leg, and I clipped it to my harness to stop it from flopping.
Flopping down.
Flopping that way, just so I could sort of control it a little bit. It was a really bizarre sensation. Obviously, it's dead painful, but it also felt like when you stand in snow and underneath your boot squeaks. Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Wow.
But that was those bones like rubbing together like that.
It's amazing. Like that pinnacle has probably been stood there for a long time.
Thousands of years until I got there.
But the thing is, that pinnacle and in the way I look at things, yous have both been heading towards that destiny. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then this moment comes, because how does a big piece like that just go? Like, it doesn't get a lot of sort of movement over it. Not even like, I wouldn't even thought like wildlife even gets over it quite a lot. There's certainly not a lot of footfall going across it. Like for stuff to move, it's just
a bird might have landed on it.
Yeah,
at some point,
at some point, but it's certainly not a well-trodden path. And
no, so we were the first people to have been on that section of ridge.
And then you give it a good Scottish alpine knee, and that's it. It's gone. It's just sitting there.
I thought a lot about this, obviously, over the last. So I've been out of hospital now for 5 weeks. Had an operation on that, and just sort of what led up to it.
Yeah.
Would it? So I've not made any decisions that were wrong. Like we did everything right, basically. The only thing that could have changed, there was two major things that could have changed. Right, we could have stopped at some point and turned around. Yeah. But the day's going well, the weather's good, and we've got a potential exit of this call that we haven't got to yet. Why? So you're just not going to turn around, are you? The other thing that could have happened is I could have stopped to the bottom of the pinnacle and belayed Will. Then we'd have both been probably up shit creek, really.
I just think it's...
Or Will would be where I am.
Yeah. You're an adventurer, and when you're an adventurer, it's part of the territory. Do you know what I mean? If you want safe, then just go down Costa on a Saturday and drink lattes. Maybe you get burned. I don't know, but you can't overanalyze why things happen. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things, and obviously to get down, you told me off air that some sort of crazy like through the legs abseil was used. What was that like?
It's only just starting to get good, really. When I got to the top of this ridge, Will and I knew that it's gonna get pretty tasty then. So the first set of mountain that we had to deal with was quite steep. A little bit loose on that, but reasonably steep. And actually, that's not such a bad thing. So Will lowered me. Yeah. So I'm on my own, just sliding on my side, basically. Yeah. Trying to keep my bad leg away from the rock. So I'm laying on my side. He lowers me about 90 meters, somewhere between 70 and 90 meters. Yeah. And I'm sort of rattling off stuff, trying to make sure I don't hurt myself any further. Will comes down to me then. And from there, we did another sort of 250 meters of abseiling together. Yeah. Now, the ground now isn't as steep as that first lot. Yeah. Which makes things a little bit more tricky, because it means that I, laying on my side, am no longer sliding over ground. So Will needs to sort of half carry me and half abseil. So I spent the next sort of 7 hours
Oh, wow.
So. Maybe probably more, like basically dangling in between Will's legs or next to Will.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like Will is a total hero. Like I would
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
without Will.
Yeah.
He was doing everything. He's pulling the ropes. He's making the belays. He's getting everything sorted. Normally, if you were abseiling on terrain like that, you'd move out of the way because there's all this loose rock. I mean, I can't tell you how loose it is, but basically, I'm just lying there, a sack of tatties, with stuff flying over me.
Oh yeah, nothing you can do about it all, no.
Nothing, no. Just with my rucksack over my head.
It's and so you get to a point where how did you get the helicopter to come in? Like that in itself is like an amazing story of like.
So when I made the belay at the top of the ridge, was trying just after I'd relocated my leg. I had something called a Garmin InReach in my pocket, which is a satellite tracking device. It has the ability to send messages. It's a two-way device. You can text people. You text your friends and family at home.
Yeah.
Also has an SOS button on it. That SOS button is linked to an office, like a Garmin office operations center somewhere.
Yeah.
They get the SOS call and they start communicating with you by text message.
Oh wow.
It's a subscription service, so they already have your details. My insurance details were already in there. Emergency contacts, things like that.
Prior planning. Yeah.
So I pressed this button then.
Yeah.
And in between the abseils, while Will was doing the other bits that needed to be done, I've been communicating with Garmin.
Wow.
Telling them exactly what's going on. Yeah. And they were like, are you able to spend the night where you are? No, we're going to relocate a helicopter, not possible from this location,
Right. Okay. And it's not possible due to the altitude, or is it the ground itself, or just everything factors?
A mixture. Like the terrain was not going to be suitable for a helicopter.
Yeah.
The principles of mountaineering is it's warmer the lower you go. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're high.
Yeah.
We don't have overnight kit with us. So you get down.
So you got to get down. Yeah.
You got to get down. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be really cold. So after all this abseiling, we've sort of worked out that the Garmin has told us that a helicopter is going to come, but it's not going to be until tomorrow.
Right.
Will and I sort of already discussed that I knew that he was going to have to leave at some point.
Right.
We didn't have the kit for an overnight.
Mm.
He needs to go tell the other guys that we're with what's going to go on, what's going on, why we're not back yet.
Yeah.
So he left about 3:00 in the afternoon, and then from then until about midnight, I started dragging myself down the hill.
Wow.
And before the sun went down, Will and I had a chat. We could see some orange rocks at the bottom of this col. So we'd made it to the col, basically. We'd sort of managed to get in there, see the orange rocks at the bottom. And I thought a helicopter was going to be able to land on somewhere close enough to carry me to the helicopter. Will and I are both in the mountain rescue team.
Yeah.
So we're having these chats all the time. We both know that the helicopter won't fly there because there's no exit strategy.
Yeah.
Helicopters are the nose into things, and they want to be able to fly out that way.
Fly out, yeah.
They don't like being closed in. So I looked at those orange rocks and I was like, I'm going to get myself down there, and that's where you're going to meet me.
Best laid plans.
Yeah. I didn't actually end up making it down there, but some sort of goal was really important right then.
Yeah, you need to set a goal, don't you? Like you need to say, yourself, I need to get to there, because that's what's getting you going, innit?
Through the day, I'd had since 2:00 in the morning. We're talking about nutrition, right? So 2:00 in the morning, previous day. It's now 11:00 at night. I've got my head torch on. I'm still dragging myself down the hill. Since breakfast, I've had 500 ml of water and a Snickers bar.
Wow.
And I'm looking. I've got the Snickers bar in my pocket next to this Garmin InReach, and I'm like, when I get to this rock down there,
I'm gonna have a
I'm
bit
gonna
more
have
Snicker.
I'm gonna have a bite. I'm, just working the day out like that.
Jesus. And yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, you'll have heard it, I've heard it, when people say, I can't go on, I'm exhausted. Like, you were probably close to what your exhausted is. Do you know what I mean? Your body's took a big, massive hit. You've spent, you've been out mountaineering in that environment for a period of time. You're worn down. I think you must have been sort of right on the very limit of what is actually physically, I'm done. Do you know what I mean? I think what you've done there is you've dug into, like, you've found another 10% and then gone, well, actually, I need another 5. And if we've got it, another 7 to keep the engines on.
It just
So
wasn't even
amazing.
like stopping wasn't even on the cards.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, was not an option that even came into the field of vision there. Like, straight away from when that accident happened, it was like tasks. Rather, things need to be done. Like, okay, legs point the wrong way, sort it out. We need to get uphill, build a belay, and then we need to abseil.
Yeah, you need to set yourself goals, yeah.
Will needs to leave now because he needs to go get a tent and needs to go get the other guys so we can get out of here. I need to get there because they're going to struggle to get up here.
Yeah, and you need to do self-preservation, don't you? You need to fight for your own survival. Like, you need to go into, like, total warrior mode. So, at what point did you hear? What point did you hear the helicopter, the sweet sound of the waka waka coming in?
Yeah, that was good, man. When I saw that helicopter, I was having a good time. After Will left, I saw these head torches coming up the valley. And what it was is Big Si, the guy that turned around 2 o'clock in the morning, or whenever he turned around, had packed up loads of kit from the base camp. So he's carrying enough stuff for 2 people: food, water, sleeping bags, group shelter.
Wow.
And he's making his way up this hillside over what actually turned out to be really horrible, complex ground.
Right.
With cliffs and gullies, and it loose, like a 60-degree slope, 50-degree slope, and everything's mobile, everything's moving, like
wow,
fridge-sized blocks that are just moving without touching them, like, wow. So, and he's doing that at night, and all he can see is my head torch. I actually had a whistle with me.
Old school.
yeah, and I was blowing this whistle, and I was like, and I finally heard Simon shout, and I was like, thank God it's Simon. Like, if there's somebody that you want to come and carry you,
it's a big
like
guy.
Big Si, yeah.
Bloody hell.
I mean, like, I saw him come over this rib, and I was like, I'm really happy to see you, man. He's like, really happy to see you too, buddy. And I was like, are the other guys coming up? He's like, no, you've just got me. I was like, all right, how are we going to get down? He's like, we're spending the night here, man. I was like,
all right.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair play, man. And of course, like, the other guys didn't come up, but there's a reason to it. You don't want to compound the casualty rate, do you? Do you know what I mean? You've got to make
basically
smart
Will's
decisions.
Knackered.
Yeah.
Like, he's burst.
Yeah.
He's out of action. I've never seen Will tired.
Yeah.
He was, when Simon got there, Will was curled up in a ball.
Wow.
With his down jacket on the floor in the grass.
Wow.
He's done.
Yeah.
The other guy, so one of these guys has got a tooth infection. He's down in the valley.
Yeah, he's
trying to sort out some other evacuation plans. And then that leaves Ken, who was there as like a base camp manager.
Just to mind the kit. Yeah, important part of it, yeah.
Ken used to climb with Will's dad in the 70s.
Wow.
So like a Himalayan legend, He's got so much experience under his belt. So Ken had come up to help Simon get up there, but without coming onto this steep hillside, So it's only Simon's in play, really. So Simon chopped out a ledge out of this scree and sat me on it on top of my rucksack, and we had a bit of food, had something to eat, and I was like, "Do you have any painkillers?" And he's like, yeah, I brought some really good painkillers. And he like popped these 2 pills out, and he handed them to me, and I was like, where's the codeine? And he's like, got some bad news, mate. Rich took it down to the village with him for that tooth infection. I was just like, okay.
Tooth infection, yeah, no, it's fair play. Yeah,
It turned out it got two small anti-inflammatories.
Well, at least you had something, I suppose. And then, what was the
Oh, and then the helicopter the next day, right?
Yeah,
So
what was the helicopter trip like? What was it like to be? You talk about the helicopter comes in. Did it land or did they winch you up?
Neither.
Oh, right.
So basically, the cool thing about this Garmin InReach, right, is it's always pinging a GPS location to the emergency services.
Wow, that's amazing.
So they knew where we were. So the pilot flew in, came to say hello, and left. And I was just like, "Where are you going?"
Yeah.
We'd made eye contact. Like, why are you leaving?
Yeah.
And I sent the Garmin guys an email or a text message, whatever you want to call it. I'm like, helicopter's just left. Why? Question mark, exclamation mark. And there was depositing men on the ground, and I was like, there is no way these guys are going to get a stretcher up here.
Yeah.
That's what I thought their sort of plan was. I'm like, that's not going to work. Like,
no,
needs winched. Like, and actually what they were doing, so the helicopter came back 15 minutes later with a rope clipped to the bottom of the helicopter.
Right.
And Simon clipped me in, screwed the carabiners up.
Yeah.
We gave the signal, which
winch
is like,
you up. Yeah,
get me out of here. And off we went.
Just straight up and gone.
Yeah. Me dangling maybe about like 80 meters beneath the helicopter.
Wow.
Yeah. And they flew me all the way back along the valley down to the base camp, all the way past this ridge that had taken us all day. Like all that effort, and it just like 15 minutes.
Straight back down.
Straight back down. They dropped me off, and then they put the helicopter back together. So it was just the pilot in the helicopter.
Yeah, and you had to strip it for weight.
Yeah, so they stripped it completely out. So they'd taken the doors off.
Wow.
They'd taken the seats out, and they took the carpet up, and they were flying it on minimal fuel.
Yeah, to do what they have to do.
Yeah. When I spoke to the pilot, he was like, yeah, I was giving it full power hovering. Okay.
Wow. Oh, wow. Cheers.
Giving it big licks.
But yeah, no, absolutely.
Some epic flying by the pilot, though.
What's the pilot? What's the sort of pilot's background? Like, is he some sort of like ex-Vietnam veteran or something, or is he local fellow?
As far as I'm concerned, he's Superman.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, he's a total legend.
God.
He is a Norwegian guy that's a Canadian resident,
and
he's called Dangmar, and he comes to Nepal every year for the rescue season.
Right.
Of which I am a number.
I hope he's on Instagram. Do you know if he's on Instagram? I'd love to follow Dangmar, see what he's up to today. Checking in, going.
So the helicopter company, it's a private company.
Okay.
And you can follow them on Instagram.
I'm definitely doing it.
Called Kalish Helicopters.
Yeah, definitely. If there's anyone worth a follow, it's definitely be them then.
They posted some videos that I found maybe about 2 weeks later, and
awesome.
And it's me dangling underneath the helicopter in my yellow sleeping bag.
Mint.
It's like a banana flying through the sky.
Wow. Connor, it's been absolutely fantastic, and we're flying through this, and I don't want to rush it, so we'll definitely have a part 2. So what we'll do is we'll finish with the 5 watts, but I don't want to sort of condense the recovery process, and especially what Atlas Mountaineering's doing in 2020 into sort of the last 5 minutes. So we'll do the 5 watts, and then in next year we'll get onto it, and we'll get it sorted out. The first one, what's the greatest advice you've been given?
My dad always taught me that he always said, look after number one before you look after anybody else.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's some really good advice. I think about that a lot at work, and I think about it a lot when I'm climbing with friends, and it can be something like just making sure I've got that extra layer on when I need it, so I'm in a position to look after other people.
Yeah.
I need to do these things before I do it for other people, or it can be something like making sure I'm clipped in before I would do other things.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, look after number one. That's a
look after number one.
Yeah, gotta live by that. Second one, what's on your bucket list, either personally or as a company?
Loads of stuff. Like, this was a really difficult question because I was like, oh, he's going to want one thing, isn't he?
No, no, you shoot it.
So basically, the other side of this peak that I fell off, there's another mountain called Mount Kombuche. There's an unclimbed ridge on there. Wow. I'd love to go do that. Like, it's an epic line. You look at it, it's just like, whew, that's the king line.
Yeah.
So at some point, I'd like to go back and do that. Then at some point in the next couple of years, I'm going skiing with a friend of mine called a different Simon.
Yeah.
We're going to go ski in Kyrgyzstan, and we're going to
try nice.
So I've been to this valley before, climbing unclimbed mountains. And we're going to try ski through the whole valley.
Nice.
From one end to the other, like a few 100 kilometers, and ski some unclimbed mountains while we're at it.
It's some adventure. The third one, we might know this. What's been your toughest day?
So actually, like, well, maybe it'll be a different answer in 12 months' time. But it wasn't actually having this accident at all. I do think I attended an avalanche as part of the mountain rescue team in March last year.
Right.
Where 3 guys died and 1 guy survived.
Wow.
And that had a bigger impact on me than I thought it did at the time.
Wow. Did you see on Ben Nevis?
Yeah.
Wow.
I stretchered the guy out that was alive.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I knew how his friends were doing. At that time, I knew that 3 of them were dead.
Yeah.
And I had to tell him that I didn't know.
Yeah.
But my job is to make sure that he gets out and he's okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was I was sat on the balcony of the mountain rescue base, looking down, eating a pack of Worcestershire sauce crisps, soaked to the bone, seeing three body bags in the mountain rescue base, and I was like, it's just a pretty heavy day, man.
Yeah, I think it's great, Instagram, and I think it's great that it inspires people to get out and do more. But I also feel like there's people out there who take on things that they don't truly respect. And
I think you're right. I think Scotland, these guys were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, and I'm not having a ditch at anyone. It can happen to anyone. But actually, when you said Ben Nevis there, I thought you were going to say like some exotic, peak somewhere around the world, and it's something that's on your own back door.
Oh yeah. Like the weather that day was the worst weather I've ever seen anywhere. Like I couldn't stand up in a car park.
Wow.
And we were just, and then getting this stretcher out. It was like the 10-minute microwave. But every time you hopped onto every time you were on the stretcher, it was like maximum effort. 10 minutes.
That's a really, really tough one. That is.
I've never tried so hard, actually. Like I was absolutely beasting myself to get in and then to get this guy out.
And do you think it's because sometimes people see things and they think, oh well, the 3 peaks goes up at every weekend, and how hard can it be? Or is it just one of those?
This was a bad accident. These 4 guys, really talented climbers from Switzerland.
Wow.
And had come over to do some ice climbing. They'd turned around from something that day because they knew it was too dangerous.
Oh, wow.
So that, they'd already made a good call. They were just wrong place, wrong time.
Just how it goes, isn't it? It's just,
unfortunately,
Yeah, that's adventure. what draws us to it. There's the beauty and the danger of it.
Yeah.
That is the mistress. On to number 4. What's been your happiest day?
That's another. I'm a really happy guy. Like I enjoy lots of things. I had an epic day a few years ago, or maybe a couple of years ago now, skiing a gully in Scotland with my friend Simon that I'm going to go to Kyrgyzstan with, and everything just sort of lines up. It's just one of those amazing days where the weather's perfect, the conditions are great, the company's good, and a nice beer afterwards. You know, like that's that sticks in my memory as a really good day out.
Yeah.
Another one, climbing really famous ice climb with Rob, who you know.
Yeah. Top guy.
A gully called Point 5 Gully, and that was just like another just like epic day out where all these things have come together. Yeah, just like loads. I have loads of really good days.
It's a fair enough. And the final one, what's next, either for you as an individual or as a company?
Okay, cool. Well, so that bucket list thing is like that's really on my what's next personally. As a company, as a guiding company, going to Mount Elbrus in August. Yeah, Rob and I are taking some clients. We're going to go from the north side, which is like a huge glacial adventure up Europe's highest mountain, which would be ace. You know, loads of folk that came to Morocco with us.
Mari's going, and Mari's made a commitment to.
Mari's sat right next to me.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah.
She's made a commitment to be an absolute machine in 2020. Accountability sandwiches all the way.
Accountability sandwiches all the way. She's laughing like she's on it. She's up here doing some walking. So.
Definitely. No, she's absolute rocket. She'll be all over it in 2020. I have no doubt. Connor, mate, it's been absolutely epic speaking to you. We'll definitely have a part 2 because I don't want to rush. You can't rush greatness, so we'll definitely have to have a part 2.
That's what I say when I do a poo.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Where can people find your adventures and you're on social media and websites and all the rest of it?
Amazing, yeah, cool. So my website is Atlas Mountaineering, and it's the same on Facebook, on Instagram. Give us a look. There's an atlasmountaineering.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, going all sorts of places, doing all sorts of things in Scotland and then abroad as well.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been Connor from Atlas Mountaineering. I can vouch for the guy's skill set, and I have been on one of his epic adventures, and it was epic. And if you're looking to do the big mountains in style, then Connor and his team are the people that you need to be doing it with. When opportunity strikes, you have to grasp it with both hands. Life is not about sitting in your underpants, eating Cheetos, feeling sorry for yourself. It's about getting out there and putting a claim on the world. This podcast has been a great opportunity for me to listen to people's stories and to think what's next for me. And I hope it does it the same for other people listening. Doesn't matter if it's Cat Bells, doesn't matter if it's Everest, as long as it's not your couch with Cheetos and feeling sorry for yourself. It's soon be 2020. So Connor, I wish you a very Merry New Year and a speedy recovery. And I'll catch you in 2020, mucker. All right.
Nice one, man. Speak soon. Bye.
Adios.